last year, I was part of the CIPCC project. It's for international journalists, and it was great because last year, for the first time, there were journalists from Eastern and Central Europe that were invited. It's a wonderful place, and we felt very secure. Although our cultures are a bit different, our ways of thinking, but if I have the opportunity to live in China, I think I could adjust very fast.
So, first of all, welcome to join my show, Ningbo Folks. So, I know last year you came to China, right, and conducted the on-site interview in Ningbo. And what was the deepest impression of your trip to Ningbo?
Actually, Ningbo has a very special place in my heart because it's a very beautiful city and I really enjoyed my time there. Although we spent only 3 days, and I really want to go back there. But the things I will always remember that in first place was the boat ride on the river in the evening. It was amazing. I felt like I was in a movie or in some kind of different reality. And that was the place where actually I had the chance to try Bulgarian food that I hadn't eaten for 2 months.
Yeah, great. So, you've been staying in China for a while, and you've been staying here in Ningbo. And during your on-site interview, were there any differences between the China or the China's impression that you got from by your own eyes and ears with those that you know from the other channels or other platforms?
Well, yes, it was a very, very big difference the what I saw. And the problem is that here in Europe, people actually have a very wrong impression about China. People live with these stereotypes about the polluted air and how people all the time have to go outside wearing masks. And actually, when I went to Beijing last year, when I landed, the first thing I saw was the sun, the crystal clear sky. And actually, the main idea of the program I participated in was to spread the truth about China.
In February 2023, Tanya went to China for a full-mouth exchange and interview work. During this period, through visits and contacts, Tanya constantly refreshed her impressions of various fields in China. Although the stay was not very long, it was enough to leave deep memories. After returning home, Tanya wrote a book to commemorate this period of time.
This
Oh,
is
yes,
the book
right.
about China.
Yes.
It's called 4 months and 22 hours because
Wow.
that's exactly how long I stayed in China. The major topic is, in first place, how people from different countries, different cultures go to a place where they haven't even dreamed that someday they will be, and how they adjust all the problems they have, then all the people they meet, and how they are received from the Chinese, the food, the culture, the history.
Okay, so that book was based on your personal experience.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Okay.
And not only mine, but also people from different continents, because this was my idea to show how people from America, from Africa, even from Asia, uh, begin to live in China and how China changes them.
We will look forward that. Personally, I really want to read that, so maybe in English version at first, then we can translate it into the Chinese version.
Yes, because there's a part especially based on Ningbo.
In this book titled 4 Months and 22 Hours, Tanya uses her own experience of participating in the CIPCC project in China as the main line to tell the Chinese stories she personally learned and experienced, expressing with the words the China she saw with her own eyes. She hopes to use her own strength to break the stereotype and let more people know the real China.
Well, you have many identities, right? And you are a journalist, and you used to be a university teacher, and you used to be, you are a writer, right? You write books. So I know you identify yourself as a public figure, public figure. So why do you define yourself like that? And maybe you can tell me what you think is the important element for being a public figure.
The most important element is definitely not being famous and not being rich. The most important thing is to help other people and to give them a good example. For example, in my case, with all the money I earn from the books I sell, actually I give them for a good cause. And when I go around the country promoting the books, I actually talk to the people and see what problems they have.
Mm.
And also, if there's a child whose parents can't afford to send him to school, well, I give money and buy the school books so the child can become a very important person just and bring actually some benefits to society. The ideal public figure is someone who doesn't put himself in first place
Mm.
because one should not be selfish
Mm.
and always try to help as much as possible.
So, what are there any plans, for you and that related to China in the future?
Well, I really want to see as much as possible from China because what I've seen is just a very tiny part, and it's quite impressive that even if I go back to Beijing like in a few months, I will see it in a totally different way because you do so many things so fast that nobody can catch up with you. And I always think that China and the Chinese people can surprise me, but I'm always wrong because on the next day when I wake up, I see that you have invented something else.
Great, and thank you very much, and for taking the interview.